Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about Stanford man accused of stealing nearly $1 million in Doordash scheme rejects state offer. So recently I got an email from one of my subscribers, BC. Thank you so much for emailing me about this and making this video possible. Now, the article itself starts off by saying that he is pleading not guilty, but the scam that he pulled against many DoorDash drivers has been around for a while, and I'm glad that he got caught. But what we are going to go over is not simply that, but what is not being said. So with that said, we are talking about everything that is being said in this article, how it actually is for DoorDash, UberEats, and Grubhub drivers, customers, scammers, and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started. A city man decided to plead not guilty to stealing nearly $1 million as a part of a multi-year scheme targeting DoorDash delivery drivers. David Smith, 22, of Stanford, rejected an offer from state prosecutors to serve 5 years in prison in connection with the case. I want you to think about this for a second. The guy stole almost $1 million from so many drivers. How many drivers would he have to have stolen from at that point? And the state prosecutors gave him a deal to only serve 5 years in prison. I feel like a lot of delivery drivers would be so pissed at that, to be honest. Like, how many lives did he uproot? How many debt payments have been missed because the money that they were earning was supposed to go to that? How many people did he screw over? And all he was gonna take was 5 years, and he said no. I'm almost glad he said no. I hope they find him guilty and give him a quarter as opposed to a nickel. Smith was arrested on June 13th, 2023 in Mount Vernon, New York on a fugitive of justice warrant on Connecticut charges for first-degree larceny, third-degree identity theft, 2 counts of second-degree forgery, trafficking in personal identifying information, and first-degree computer crime out of Stanford. My dude ran from the state and thought New York was a good place to run to. Jesus Christ. Stanford police investigators Michael Stipin and Vanessa Lynn wrote in an affidavit that Smith allegedly was running a sophisticated phishing scheme, which began in 2020. Smith would call in a DoorDash order, usually in California, and have it sent to a nearby California address. At a certain point during the delivery, Smith would call the DoorDash driver using an app to mimic the DoorDash support number, according to the affidavit. How crazy is that? This guy developed this crazy phishing scheme to mimic the DoorDash support number system and scam people across the country. Think about that for a second. They're in Connecticut or New York, and they're going across the country putting in orders and phishing scamming so many people. Now, if you don't know what a phishing scam is, I've made many videos on this, because DoorDash, while they do send emails about it every now and then, they don't do it enough, and people don't take them seriously enough. But you know what this guy got? $1 million from scamming just enough people to do that. They didn't have to get everybody, but they need to get enough people who are making money from Prop 22, who are making money on DoorDash consistently, who are living in California, gaining all those benefits, only to lose all of it. How insane is that? Smith would impersonate DoorDash support and notify the driver via phone and text that the order they were about to pick up was placed with a stolen card and that they've frozen their DoorDash account as a result of this. Stipin and Lynn wrote. Smith would tell the driver they would need to be verified in order to resolve this issue. Never give a code to anybody. DoorDash support never asks for codes. People like this are the exact reason why that is in the message that they send when you receive the code. Never fall for those scams. Smith would then send a verification code or text a link containing a phishing site that he had created that mimicked the DoorDash website, according to the affidavit. It was Smith's goal to gain unauthorized access to the victim's DoorDash account using either one of these methods, the affidavit said. Once Smith gained access to their accounts, he would change that employee's banking information to one of the payment cards in his possession, according to the affidavit. He would then trigger a cash out to that card and thus steal the victim's delivery money that had been pooled in their account. He would explain to the victim that due to the delivery issue that they wouldn't be getting their paycheck on time and it would be several days late, Stipend and Lynn wrote. This would cause the victims a delay in realizing their paychecks had been stolen and hinder their ability to recover their funds. Oh, okay. That explains a little bit more to me about how they do this. Because with FastPay or with the payout system, their bank account system, I was wondering what happens to the account after they do that. Because think about it like this for a second. If you change the FastPay card to a different card, it takes 7 days before you can actually use the FastPay card that you just changed. Now, they change the entire system, so they say,
hey, listen, it's gonna be a couple days late. It's gonna be a couple days late. You're gonna have to be okay with that. And don't worry about it. It'll be sent to you in the next week. I promise.
But meanwhile, they've just been scammed, and it's going to take them at least a week to get notified of that. Or for them to realize it, one or the other. Based on banking information obtained by police, they believe Smith may have successfully repeated this scam on more than 700 drivers. The affidavit said. Stipend and Lynn wrote in the affidavit that they believe Smith stole in excess of $950,000. That is insane. I want you to think about that for a second. 700 drivers. That would mean the drivers on average would have to be making $13,057.14 average among all of them in order for them to accomplish that number. That's very doable in some markets. But they kept losing all of it. How crazy is that? Police claimed in the affidavit that information found on Smith's many cell phones corroborated the findings of their investigation. Many cell phones. I want you to think about this for a second. How many cell phones do you think somebody would need to actually operate a scam like this? They'll tell you what, 1 ain't gonna cut it, 2 ain't gonna cut it. You would have to have at least a dozen forwarding numbers for each of them. Like one of those virtual numbers you can attach to Doordash. Police said they recovered $733,240 in cash from Smith Stanford's apartment as a part of their investigation. Investigators caught wind of the scheme when Stanford officers responded to his apartment on an unrelated domestic violence incident, the affidavit said. So they were not even investigating this? They were not trying to help drivers? They just happened to catch it. How many other scams do you think he pulled in the process of this? And that's $733,240. What happened to the other, like, $250,000 pretty much? I think what BC said in his email says a lot already. It's interesting there's no mention of DoorDash trying to recover the stolen money to return it to its dashers. Yeah, here's a question. What happens to that money? What happens to the $733,240 in cash that is currently in the possession of Smith Stanford's apartment that you managed to get possession of, and how are you planning on giving that money back to the drivers? Are you giving that money back to the drivers, or is the Stanford police suddenly going to get a huge spike in funding? Because I believe both. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. Look, I'm sorry to hear to the 700 drivers that they ended up getting scammed by this guy, and I'm glad that he got caught, but keep in mind something that was said in this article. They weren't looking for him for that reason. They stumbled into the scam. It's kind of like getting Al Capone for tax evasion when he was murdering people and sending them to the bottom of the river. They were not trying to help us at all. And there's also no guarantee that they're even going to see any of the money that they got back from them. But you know how you could protect yourself from people like this? Keeping an ear open for any of these scams going around. That's why you subscribe to people who are talking all about this stuff. If it's not me, it is what it is. But listen to somebody going over all of these kinds of scams so that way you know how to protect yourself. Never give out codes to anybody. Never get scammed by customers. Never get scammed by restaurants. Another way to protect yourself is to diversify your your gig portfolio. So that way, even if somehow you lose a little bit of money on Doordash, you have other apps you could work on, like UberEats, Grubhub, etc. And develop an exit strategy so that way you have an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal and you're not worried so much about people like this. But that's also why you join the Driven Wyld Discord server, so you can have access to all kinds of opportunities exactly like this. The Driven Wyld Discord community is exclusive for gig workers looking to expand their knowledge and expertise in the self-employment and entrepreneurial journeys that they are on. I partnered with high-level professionals to bring you some of the most exclusive benefits based on your personal needs as a gig worker. Exclusive professional opportunities and gig postings. More live streams with high-level professionals in our industry. Educational systems designed to help you build your own dispatch company as well as other scalable opportunities. Whether you're a gig worker looking for more opportunities to earn or looking for an exit strategy because the gig economy is an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal and not the goal, there is something here for you. Check the link in the description and get started on making the most amount of money in the least amount of time and in the safest possible way. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.